Students, we understood about the movement, different types of movement, as like earthworm allows movement in their body due to muscles, contraction, and expansion. So, muscle contraction and movement, how they goes hand in hand, that we do understand now. Now, muscle contraction and movement, the skeleton and muscle interacts in movement. Since in the body of earthworm we find it out, that is, the earthworm is expanding its front, then contraction is there in the rear end, and then again expanding the rear end, and then contraction will be there in the front end. So muscle contraction and movement is very important in the skeleton, not only in animals, in a human being also it is very important. The skeleton and muscle interacts in movement. Now muscles are connected to bones by tendons. There are certain parts, there are certain important things that is related to it, that is, muscles are connected to bones by tendons. Now what are tendons? Tendons are the soft muscles which are present inside the your hands. So there are two types of muscles which are present in your bone, in your hand, that is in your upper arm, that is biceps and triceps. If I'll be talking about the muscles, so first I'll be starting with the human being only, that human being is having uh, two types of muscles in the upper arm, that is biceps and triceps. Now biceps contracted, then triceps relaxed or extended, then tricep contracted, then bicep relaxed. So that will allow movement whenever, like when you are holding anything in your hand, these muscles like biceps and triceps plays an important role in contraction and movement of their body. So biceps and triceps, very very important. Go through it. Biceps is the upper bone and triceps is the lower bone. Under the bone, the muscles which are present under the bone, that is your triceps, biceps, and then triceps. Now biceps are the muscles which are present in your upper bone. If you will make a feast of your hand and then you will make your hand in that movement, you will be finding that it is uh, it is like it is can be feel in our body, these bicep and tricep, which allows movement in your upper arm, that can be feel in your body. So very important, this muscle contraction which allows movement. Now each muscle cell has its own contractile apparatus. Now, a muscle consists of many bundles of muscle fibers. Roughly, here the number of muscle fibers is 250,000 in a typical human bicep muscles, oriented parallel to each other. Oriented parallel to each other. That is 250,000 muscles which are present, they are oriented parallel to each other. These muscles are connected in such a way, that is, they are working like a helping hand to each other, and then only they allows movement. Now each muscle has its own contractile apparatus. Contractile apparatus means there each muscle has its own way of contraction and expansion. Here we will be discussing about the animals also and the human being also. Human being also, they have different types of ways to contract and expand muscles. So a muscle consists of many bundles of muscle fibers, that is roughly 250,000 in a typical human bicep muscles, Oriented parallel. What is the orientation of these muscles? That is parallel to each other. Parallel muscle we will be getting there. So I hope there is no doubt in this contraction and expansion. Now here is certain few more terms, that is discrete bundle of protein that include the contractile protein, that is actin and myosin. Myosin and actin, you no need to remember it, but you must remember like what are the different discrete bundles of protein which are present, and that include contractile protein, actin and myosin and all. Sarcomere is the region between two dark narrow lines called Z lines in the myofibril. Each myofibril consists of a long series of sarcomeres. Now, functionally, the sarcomere is the contractile apparatus. In a myofibril, the muscle fiber fundamental unit of action. Now, thin filaments which are present in your muscles composed primarily of actin molecules. Now, thick filaments which are made up of myosin molecules. Now, thick filament that is known as myosin, and thin filament that is known as actin. So, these filaments which are present here, like thin and thick filaments, they are composed primarily of actin molecules, then thick filaments which are made up of myosin molecules. All these molecules are very important, and they compose primarily of actin molecules only, which are made up of myosin molecules. So thin filaments as well as thick filaments both are important in between your muscles. A muscle contracts when thin filament slides along thick filaments. Now they are working like a slider. Now, sliding filament model of a muscle contraction, a sarcomere contraction or shorten when its thin filament slides along its thick filaments. Now, thin filament slides into it when thick filaments meet with it. So, it will slide inside and then it will be formed. Now, again, relaxed muscles, you can find it out with this diagram. Then contracting muscles, then fully contracted muscles. So that is why you can feel the muscles in your upper arm. In your upper arm you can feel that muscles. Why is it so? Since that muscles contracted or placed over there only. So that is their dark band, then contracted sarcomere. So this diagram will help you to understand that how muscles are contract on a particular place, how they are contracted with each other. So I hope now it is clear to you all, like muscle contraction and all, thin filaments and everything related to our muscles, and how these muscles allow movement. Muscle contraction and expansion is important only for the movement only. How movement is possible if we have this contraction or expansion. So just go through this video as well as what kind of a movement is allowed, what kind of a skeleton we find it out in different insects. That you just go through it, and if you find any problem, any issue, that will be discussed in the online class. Now muscle contraction and movement, that is the skeleton and the muscle interacts in movement. Now muscles are connected to bones by tendons. By tendons it will be created. So muscles fibers, they are about roughly 2,50,000 or 250,000 in a typical human bicep muscles, oriented parallel to each other. They were placed parallel to each other. So that is quite clear to you all. Now I'll be finishing the class here, and we will be meeting in the next class with another topic of this. So, of this chapter, that is movement, we have already finished movement of different animals. Like one more important thing here we have seen, like python has 400 bones. So fine, that's all for today, children. Have a good day.